Hi, I'm Eric Schoenberg, and we're here at the Healdsburg Guitar Festival in Santa Rosa. This is a place where luthiers come to show off, demonstrate what they're doing to the buying public. Something that in the past individual builders have not had the opportunity. You have a NAMM show that exhibits to retailers from manufacturers. It's an important venue here for people who spend all their time building the guitars. I don't really do the building, I'm the guitar designer effectively. And designing in a way that comes out of having been a player and not finding, well actually I found what worked, but it was only in the older guitars. Guitars when I started were all being made for a whole different style of music. Back in the 70s or so, I was performing as a fingerstyle guitar player, which meant that you needed, I found older Martins, for instance, and Gibsons that used the wider neck and had more of a balanced sound. In those days, everybody was playing a dreadnought, which is really only meant for this kind of stuff. So far it's been a career. I really got known in the beginning for being one of the people that were key in bringing back the OM model. But currently, the goal is to have a set of principles of what makes a guitar work, and not as a piece of furniture, but as a working tool. And applying those principles in as many different ways as possible, and or at least finding the different ways for those principles to bring out different voices available. Spent a lot of time focusing on making guitars smaller, because everybody had big guitars, and there's a lot of focus on having lots of bass. But really, when you're finger picking, the melody is what's important. The bass is the accompaniment. So more important is a treble that speaks out. And more than just speaking out, it needs to be musical. It has to carry as in a great singer. Or look at a violinist. They're just playing melody, and the tone and quality of that voice is really what's important. Guitar design has sort of forgotten that. They're approaching guitar more as a percussion instrument, a chordal thing. So I focused on making guitars smaller and to bring out that high end and sort of orchestral quality of having the right balance of everything. And the newest step has been to take the principles but apply them to a bigger guitar. So you have the bass available, because a lot of times you want two voices. You have a bass line, the concepts involved in this is our newest model, which we call the Quartet. Quartet because it's what we call a quadruple O. It's one size bigger than a triple O. Martin, that came about from people using taking Martin's F-hole guitars, which were a unique size, 16 inches, and putting flat tops on them. And it was an efforts of people like Mark Silver, for instance, who was the first one to do that, to create what we call the quadruple O. And Martin eventually caught on to the idea and started doing quadruple O's. My focus for years has been to take the 12th fret body because it has more gusto, more openness, more freedom in the tone than a 14th fret guitar, and I just put a cutaway on it so you have the full access of the higher frets. The other step is that in the big guitar world, what people have tended to do is, like dreadnoughts, is make a very deep guitar. Well, that gives you all this bass, but it gives you this fat sort of woofy bass in so many ways, and at the cost of your melody line. And having run into vintage guitars, Larson Brothers guitars for instance, you can see guitars that are way thinner and still have a great big full sound. So I've been interested in getting the guitars less deep. When they're less deep, they have a faster response, more immediate, sort of like the sports car effect instead of a Mack truck. So I took the quadrupolo, which is a narrow depth body, but I turned it into a 12th fret in the effort to get more bottom end out of the quadrupolo. Is a lot more bass than an OM, but you turn it into a 12th fret, you get even more. You get that great 12th fret bottom end thing going on without sacrificing the high end. And you make it narrow. You put a cutaway. You have full access. So the philosophy of our company, one thing we do is, as a designer, I then work with friends of mine who are really good builders, and they'll build my design for me. This is our newest builder. His name is Randall Kramer from Truckee, and he's always been interested in big guitars, so I asked him to tackle the new project, our quartet. And this guitar was just delivered yesterday. He's very graciously finished it for us for the show. And so, as in all my guitars, are a combination of what I've put into it and then what the builder adds. Sparky's an incredibly immaculate, skillful builder. And you can see one of his favorite little, very skillful touches to have a cutaway with the old style heel, but it's flush to the side. In other words, he's got to bend that side in to match the side of the heel perfectly. They have a very smooth tour. Panama Rosewood is one of those Brazilian rosewood alternates that I think may have a lot of the qualities of Brazilian without the gigantic price tag. We do a certain amount of Martin style. That's the Martin Volute there. There's a style 30 pattern, Martin's early style 30, but this was a cosmetic touch that was really come upon by another one of my builders, Bruce Sexauer, to take our traditional back stripe, which we've done since the very beginning of my company back in the mid-80s, split it in half and use the halves as our purfling. Rosewood binding. It's Sparky's version. Sparky is Randall Kramer. His version of the traditional pyramid bridge. More importantly, this model becomes our grand piano. And as always, the important thing is the way it sounds. So